Good day, everybody. Welcome back to BTM, to the Basketball Time Machine, the show about former NBA players, their stories, and simply behind-the-scene NBA stuff. In today's episode, I got a very special guest, an NBA champion to be precise, one of the first Europeans in the NBA. Zan Tabak, it's great to have you on the show. How you doing?
Thank you, Sean. Great to be here.
John, you played for 7 years in the NBA, but I actually want to start right from the beginning. So when did you realize that you actually have a shot at making it in the NBA?
I was never thinking about NBA. I was thinking always about the moment where I was at that time and about the next step. Even when I got drafted, at that time it was really rare for Europeans to be drafted. I was not thinking that one day I'm going to go to the NBA. Basically, when I finished here in Milano, and my agent came with proposal that why not try to NBA? That is the first time that I was starting to think about that.
Okay, but did you have like any heroes or idols as a child?
No. First of all, at the time when I was growing up, you could not see NBA nowhere. You could get the tape, and once when you were watching the tape, like you were watching Magic, we were watching Michael or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the tape, but media, newspapers, there was no internet, so basically the NBA was something was really on the other planet, and who we were looking up to was European players at that time that you could see playing European competitions or national competitions.
All right. You were the 51st pick in the 1991 NBA draft, a draft class that had players like Larry Johnson or Kenny Anderson. Do you remember what it felt like when you heard your name? Like, did it take you a while to realize that you actually made it to the NBA?
I mean, first of all, today is normal that European players get drafted in the first round. At that time, better player than me, much better players than me, like Dražen Petrović, like Kukoc, like Raja, they all got drafted in the second round. So we were unknown thing for the people in NBA. Yes, they look good. Yes, they have a talent, but we don't know how they're going to adapt it. We don't know, do they want to come? Especially because we were coming from the communist countries, where going out when you wanted to play in some other countries was not that easy.
All right, so you landed on the Houston Rockets, a pretty loaded team with Hakeem Olajuwon, Robert Horry, Sam Cassell, and so on. So what was the biggest difference between playing the NBA and in comparison to Europe?
First of all, when I got drafted, Houston was good, but was not champion. So I think so for somebody especially who is coming from the second round, it will be much better to land in the weaker team that you can get playing time. I play in the same position where I was playing best player in the world, Hakeem Olajuwon. So for me, it was great that I came over there, that I won a championship, that I was a part of all that experience. But from the other side, I pay my dues because I could not play almost a role because, again, I play on the same position where the best player in the world was playing. Difference between European game and NBA game was huge. Was much bigger than right now. And I think so one thing in particular made that thing more difficult was a 24-second shot clock. We were playing 30-second shot clock, everything was going on a different speed, and when you came over there was a 24-second shot clock. It took me 1 month or 2 months to adapt enough that I can even practice decently at the level where the NBA players at that time were. It was not a question of technical ability, it was a more question of the strength and the speed.
Yes, you just mentioned Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, even though you didn't play that much, did you see the benefit of practicing with a guy like Hakeem? I mean, he was the best big in the game back then.
That year happened three, as far as I can remember right now, three really important things in my life. My daughter got born, we won the championship, and I spent 1 year working with Hakeem. Hakeem was really a good mentor for me as a young player because he was also foreigner. I was foreigner, he took me under his wing. I worked with him on a daily basis, playing many times one-on-one, before practice, after practice. Also teach me a lot of stuff. He also teach me a lot of stuff that I'm using today as a coach when I'm working with the big guys.
Okay, I believe that your Houston Rockets team back then was really underrated because you had great players like, for example, Robert Horry, Mario Elie, Sam Cassell, and those guys. Did you have like one specific teammate you used to hang out with, or one teammate you liked a lot?
In that team, I used to hang around with a lot of guys. I used to hang around with Carl Herrera. I used to hang around, especially on the road, with Hakeem. There are two guys in the team in particular that they mark my future because they taught me English. One is Scott Brooks, today's coach, and the other one is Chris Gent. That also, I think so, he was a member of Cleveland Cavaliers coaching staff, and I think so he was also individual coach for LeBron James. I mean, all of them in that team, I really have a good relationship. I still have we don't have much of the contact, but I still have a good relationship with them. But these guys in particular, I think so they marked the rest of my life as a player.
Okay. You mentioned earlier the NBA championship with the Houston Rockets. I would like to know, was it strange to actually win the championship in your first year, because so many great NBA players never won an NBA championship and you just did it in your rookie season?
Well, like I said, I can only say that I was lucky enough that during my career I was a member of the many great teams. Here in Europe I was member of Jugoplastika. I was also member of the Croatian national team. I was member of the Houston Rockets. So I had a lot of opportunities to be in the team that were winning stuff. In some of them I participate more. In the case of the Houston, I participate less. It was my rookie year. As a player, I always said that your lives look like you are in the train that is moving 300 kilometers an hour. And the rest of the people around you, basically, they are staying on site. So your life is moving that quickly. Your pace of the life is that quick that you are not realizing the moment. When you start to realize all is this experience, when you stop to play, then you realize what you did it, when you did it, what could you do differently, how you could do differently. And at that moment, no, I was not realizing what a big moment that's it.
Right. You mentioned the national team. You played for the Croatian national team in 1992 in Barcelona, and your team had some of the best European players of all time. Players like, yourself, Dino Radja, Drazen Petrovic, Toni Kukoc, some guys who actually made it in the NBA. How was it playing against the Dream Team? I mean, you played against them twice, and you played probably against the best team ever assembled. Was it special? Did you notice that in that moment that you're playing against a special team?
Again, at the moment, you don't realize what you're doing. I mean, you just go and you play the game. You know that they are the best players in the world. You know that they are legends, but you just go out there and try to do the best what you can at that moment. I met with most of these guys many times on the court before playing against them, playing with them. Some of them they coach me. So at that moment, you don't realize that how big is that. That's original Dream Team. That was original game against them. But again, when you get retired, when you start to thinking, then you realize the importance of that.
Okay, after you played for the Houston Rockets, you ended up on the Toronto Raptors, who were, a brand new franchise at that time. What was the difference coming from NBA championship team, to a brand new franchise? What was the main difference?
Well, for me, it was positive. I basically asked to be traded because I knew it that, again, next year I will be playing on the same position with the best player at that time in NBA in the world is playing. So I came from Europe to play, and I wanted to play. I got put in an expansion draft. They picked me up from Toronto. In Toronto, I played for the 3 years. I really love it. Toronto as a city, I really love it playing there. And for me, it was really all positive experience.
You had some pretty interesting teammates back then. If I remember correctly, Damon Stoudemire was in that team, and I think he even won the Rookie of the Year award. Isaiah Thomas, NBA legend, Isaiah Thomas was the GM of that team. So did you guys feel you were doing a good job? I mean, your team actually won a couple of games, which didn't happen too often for a brand new franchise. So how do you feel about that season?
We broke the record our first year, I think so, for the most teams won by the first year franchise. We had a good mixture in between young player and older players. We had a good coach, Brandon Malone, father of today's coach, Malone, and he was an excellent coach, and we had again good organization behind us, and we had a good mixture of the younger players with a lot of potential and the older players that teach us how to do and how to be in the league.
Okay, so I would like to know, when you played for the Houston Rockets, you were a role player, and suddenly you started for the Toronto Raptors. What was the difference in your preparation for the game, or just the feeling of, okay, now I'm a starter, now I have to produce? What is the difference to a role player?
I will not say produce, not produce role and starter, but I will say playoff team and not playoff team. There are many people in Europe, many fans, they don't understand how big difference is playing in NBA for playoff team or title contender and not playoff team. And in my case, that's obvious. Whenever I was playing for not playoff team or not contender team, I was having good games and have a good time. When level was picking up, I was not able to adjust my game at the time, and I was not able to help the team as much as I wanted for the playoff title.
So after 3 years with the Raptors, you got traded to the Boston Celtics, and you're playing for probably one of the biggest franchises in NBA history. What was the difference, or was it special for you playing for the Celtics?
I spent really short time playing for Celtics. I understand importance. I understand weight of that name and importance of that powerhouse. But I spent only 3 months because I got traded by the end of the trade line, and after that was a lockout. So basically I played 3 months. Coach was Rick Pitino, star player was Anton Walker, and I always was thinking that after lockout I will be able to come back, signed again, and pick it up from the place where I stopped. But my wife, both of us, we were expecting the second child, came late to the pregnancy. The lockout didn't stop, and we stayed in Europe.
All right, your team was really interesting, though. You had young guys like Antoine Walker, who became an all-star. You had guys like Chauncey Billups, who later became the MVP many years later with the Detroit Pistons. You had guys like Bruce Bowen, who became one of the best defenders of his generation. So you had high potential players who would develop into stars. But yeah, in general, you also had a very unexperienced NBA coach in Rick Pitino. Did you feel something was chaotic because everybody was so unexperienced?
No, I think so that, like you said, the most of these players, after when they became older, they became really good players. But every player needed time to mature, and Rick Pitino picked it up the time when most of those guys was not mature enough to take that franchise at the next level, and as usually there was no much of the patience with the coaches. And as a coach right now myself, when I'm looking on that time from this stand of the point, I think so Rick Pitino is one of the best coaches I ever had. Rick Pitino is really a great coach and really skillful coach in any kind of sense.
Yes, correctly. You just mentioned the lockouts. So in 1999, you went to Turkey. And when you came back, you joined the Indiana Pacers, and one of the best players to ever play the game suddenly became your coach in Larry Bird. How was it playing for one of the best players ever? It had to be special, at least I would believe that.
Listen, Isaiah Thomas was my president. I play also for him as a coach. After Larry Bird, I play for Larry Bird. I think so once when you are retired, your credits as a player, they still stay, but you have no credit as a coach. So you are not judged by the things what you did it on the one side of the debt sideline of the court, but what you did from the other side. Yes, basically I play against Larry where he was part of the dream team, original dream team, but it's a totally different experience as a coach. We had a great season. We made it to the finals. Larry did a great job of coaching us, especially did a great job of leading the group. We had a good mix of veterans. I think so. The team, by the European standards, that you can call most of the team. From all the teams when I played in the NBA was that Indiana Pacers. Before, what I was trying to say is basically that I'm looking from my standpoint point also, when you finish to your career as a player, you need to prove yourself as a coach. So I was never looking to the Larry Bird like, wow, what a legend. I was just looking at him like any other coach.
So after your career was over, your NBA career was over, you became a coach and actually are one of the most successful coaches in Europe for the last decade. So what are your plans for the future?
Sean, thank you very much for your overstatement to being one of the most important coaches in Europe. But I'm still trying to make my mark in the European basketball. I'm still trying to get continuity in my work. We are living at a time in the sport where coaches are changed like a pair of the socks. When anything goes wrong, they are changing coach. So I'm not talking all about myself. I'm talking about many coaches who are more experienced and better than I am. It's really difficult to survive. It's very difficult, especially survive for the longer period of time and make a home at the one place where you're coaching. So I really respect every day more and more coaches who succeeded to stick to the one place for the many years.
All right, John, thanks a lot for doing this. I'm pretty sure there's much to come. And you guys, if you like this podcast, just subscribe to the channel and I hope I see you next time. All right, I'm out.